Yeah, West Virginia finished with the top class in the Big 12, but how much does that really matter? Let's break them down. We got an expert here. It's not me.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host, co-host. This is a Locked On crossover with Locked On the Portal with Brian Smith. We thank you guys so much for joining us today in a really snowy Sunday where I'm at. How's it where you're at, Brian?
It's about 50 degrees and partly cloudy.
I can't stand it. This episode of Locked On West Virginia, Locked On Portal crossover, going to be brought to you by FanDuel, guys. And right now with FanDuel, listen, if you like action, you want to be in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your live NFL bets all season long. And thanks for making us your first listen, guys, and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we do talk about your team every single day. Brian, interestingly enough, West Virginia, it's fluctuated, but, you know, at the end of the day, on the day of the signing day, West Virginia finished with the top class in the Big 12. First question to you is, did that surprise you? Second question is, how important is it for West Virginia to be in the top 2 or 3 spots going forward for us to be competitive?
Well, the way Rich Rod uses his system and the way he recruits, it'll be hard to grade because he's always taking a lot of kids that are JUCOs and stuff, and a lot of people don't get eyes on them. So I wouldn't be as concerned about it as some other people because he's going to have one of these JUCO kids. I mean, I saw one of the D linemen 6'4", 310 or something like that.
Jalen Thomas.
Nobody goes and scouts those kids. So it's impossible.
He's a monster.
To grade his class. I wouldn't worry about the ranking as much other than like who are your top 5 to 8 high school kids. It's about the only thing I'd really look at.
Right.
Did he get enough quarterbacks that at least one of them's going to hit, and then he can move the other guys to receiver, running back, DB.
Interesting. Going forward, Rich Rod said, you know, obviously this year was a bit different because they decided to take a few extra kids. Number one, and let me know how you feel about this philosophy. So what they did, because the way the windows are now, West Virginia going into the first year under Rich Rod, they missed the signing day window. They had the February, but they didn't have the first one. And also the portal windows were different. The first portal window was in December last year. So they didn't get that either. So they'd missed the first signing day, first portal window. So they were already behind, no base, right? And then you get into the season, you lose your top 5 at quarterback, your top 5 at running back, and that's not an exaggeration. And we all feel pretty good about winning 4 games, but I'm off track a bit. So, obviously coming into this offseason, they said, you know what? We're going to make up for some of those losses and just get a really big base here. 49 players is an enormous base. Don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, I don't think that's what he wants to do going forward. He said something along the lines of, you'd like to have either 2-1 or 3-1 high school to portal going forward. And I think that could be a winning formula. But then I look at the Big 12 and you look at a guy like Dion. He's got 12 high school recruits. You know, like, how can the philosophies be so different, you know, between places?
Well, I think it's a matter of who you can get. That's the biggest thing. You got to recruit to what you can recruit where you're at.
Yeah.
And Rich Rod has done it, which, I mean, to his credit, it's hard to recruit kids to West Virginia that are from Mississippi, like the JUCOs and stuff,
yes.
North Carolina, Texas, all over. I was a little surprised he got a lot of those kids to come. Now, many of them didn't have the Bama LSU offers, but they still had SEC, ACC, et cetera, and they're going to West Virginia. So he probably shot past what I thought. And secondarily, I was just looking at the list, depending on how you want to position them, like 15 of the kids they signed are offensive or defensive linemen. That's the area that I look at first with everybody, but especially a school like West Virginia with Rich Rod, because he's always going to get skill guys. If they're going to move up to Big 12, like, no offense to anybody else, but I still don't know how good Texas Tech is because that league isn't that great in the trenches, and they are really good. They didn't beat people. They annihilated them.
They did.
It's not even competitive.
No.
And like they can compete with Texas A&M and LSU and Florida and, Ohio State, Notre Dame in the trenches. Nobody else in the Big 12 is on that level. So
Right.
everybody's got to recruit linemen differently because Tech's obviously buying everybody under the sun. So that was the first thing. And they were smart. Like, they're not going to get the 5-star kids at WVU, but if you're going to get the elite kids out of the JUCO, like, again, I forget the kid's name, that D lineman, you only get them for a couple of years, but if you do that every single year in the recruiting world, who cares?
Yeah. And
get
part of
the-
that philosophy I was getting to is I remembered while you were talking the 5 million. I was talking about the 5 million. So what they did was they decided to save 5 million. Everybody front loaded last year. We know that. West Virginia decided not. They've talked about this publicly. It's not like it's insider news. They said, listen, we didn't spend 5 million of the dollars, and we figured out now they put that towards recruiting, right? Like they went out, and that's how they were able to do what they did just now. They said, you know what? We know we're not going to be very good in year one. Why spend this extra 5 million and be 6-6? You know, so, I mean, I'm sure that's probably not they said it, but it's like reality, right? They realized we're not going to win the Big 12 this year, so we might as well. We're at a huge disadvantage. We might as well save this money, and even though it doesn't technically roll over year to year, if you use it, you know, in December, it doesn't matter because it's technically the same year. So that's what they did. And I think they bought a lot of really good players. Amari Latimer is one of them. I think is a guy they were able to flip late that had Miami, Ohio State, Wisconsin on him at the very.
He's an NFL player. He's an
NFL player. I think he'll start day one, or at least within the first couple of games at West Virginia. He's the perfect running back for West Virginia. We'll get to him in a sec. You know, you mentioned the trenches. A couple guys we've spoken about, you know, obviously Kevin Brown is probably where you start, right? You know, Kevin, you've went and seen him in person. For the casual West Virginia fan, can you kind of explain to them what they're getting in a Kevin Brown? He's a plug and play guy pretty much from day one, right?
Physically, he's give or take 295-ish, somewhere in there. Maybe he adds 5-10 pounds, something like that. But it's the ability to move in space. The biggest problems for most high school linemen is pass protection, because most teams don't have a quarterback that's any good, so you don't throw much, you don't practice it a lot. Well, he was the best pass protector at Rivals 5-star, the invite-only event, 2 years in a row. Okay, well, that changes things, and I watched it. It's one thing to get the award, but I was standing right there next to him as he was doing the drills, so he's really good at that, and he's so strong naturally. Like, he looks like a guy that goes to the Olympics as a strong man, and like especially like his upper legs don't look normal. Like it's insane. So I think he'll play no later. He'll be starter by middle of the season. Maybe it's game one. It just depends on him picking up the play.
Another NFL player, most likely.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. So obviously that's a win for West Virginia. And the thing is there's that legacy factor. You know, there's a chance you keep him at West Virginia just because of that. He loves Rich Rod. He loves the culture. Heck, he burned a couch on signing day on Pat McAfee. Yeah. So, you know, that's a kid you can build around on your offensive line, right? If he develops into what we think he can be, that means you've got an elite player on your offensive line. I've heard more than one guy say, I don't know why he doesn't have a 5th star. I've heard a few people say that. Do you fall into that category with him, or do you think he's graded correctly at 4?
It just depends on which company you're looking at, like the Rivals 5.
I know it doesn't matter all. Like, it's not the be all end all. I'm just curious. Why do you think he's not a 5-star guy?
It's because of where he lives. Like, people don't normally rank kids 5 stars unless they see him live. Like, it's a very fine line.
Gotcha.
Like, I'm friends with everybody that does this stuff in some way, shape, or form. There's a reason that they try to stay away from parents and stuff. Okay. It's not coincidental. Like, they get hammered enough as it is. So
right.
Parents aren't very open-minded. I'll leave it at that. But
of course, I get it all the time.
Yeah. So,
and I don't even do it for a living. Like, I can imagine.
Yeah. So anyway, it's
okay.
Where he's from. That's all.
All right. Well, we'll go to break really quick since we're at that 10-minute mark, Brian, and then we'll really get into a couple of these guys. The list I sent you. I know there's a few guys on this list. The kid from Moody, Alabama, Mallory, that you really liked.
Yes,
a couple others. We'll talk about them right after the break, guys. And on this episode of Locked On West Virginia, Locked On Portal Crossover, we're talking about Aura Frames, guys. And it is holiday season, and if you like giving gifts, this is the one for you. You want something that's meaningful, personal, and guaranteed to get a reaction. Aura Frames is the gift that delivers every time, and it's not something you just wrap. It's a way to share memories, literally. It's not just your average picture frame, right? You can preload the frame with photos before gifting it. So grandpa doesn't have to fumble around with it. Plug it in. Memories are there. No apps to figure out. No setup headaches. Just instant smiles. You give it to parents, grandparents, newlyweds, anyone who loves photos. You have endless photos and pictures of 30-second videos you can use through their Aura app, right? So for a limited time, you can save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named number 1 by the publication Wirecutter, by using that promo code college at checkout. That's auraframes.com, promo code college. The deal is exclusive to listeners, and frames do sell out fast. So order yours now, get it in time for the holidays, and support Locked On West Virginia and Locked On Portal by mentioning us at checkout, please. Terms and conditions apply. Thank you very much. All right, we are in segment 2, and I'm going to toss it to you, Brian. You mentioned a specific player before we got on here that you really like in this class that may not be somebody that your casual fan would start out with on the list, right? But I'm in agreement with you. This kid's a stud. Go right ahead.
Cameron Mallory plays at Moody High School just east of Birmingham. And as I mentioned to you in the last segment, for Rich Rod and the Mountaineers to move up, they got to get more linemen. And Moody just won state. And I'd spoken to somebody before a game earlier this year up in the Birmingham area that had played them and got trounced. And this is a team that's got a handful of Division I, FBS, West Virginia and above kind of players. And they got beat like 50-something to nothing. And I was like, oh, wow. And they didn't lose any other games. And Mallory was the guy that kind of stood out. He can play 1-tech. He can play 3-tech. He's a house. He's the kind of kid that just doesn't normally go to West Virginia. I'm surprised that both the in-state schools, Alabama and Auburn, passed on him. It's a great program. But I think he's a kid that will play no later than the sophomore year. Just, like every other big lineman, just keep reshaping your body. But the twitch, the ability to be a powerful guy at the point of attack, WVU does not get many kids like this. And I know that nose guards don't get a lot of love, but I think Cameron Mallory is going to be a real good player for the Neers.
Ask Texas Tech what they think about Lee Hunter, right? I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be Lee Hunter, but nose guards, I use this comp all the time. Whenever I talk about Mallory, I said this. Especially when you run a 3-down front, nose guard's one of the most important positions on the field. Think about those Steelers teams with Dick LeBeau, right? And you look at the Casey Hampton, how important he was. Or if you go back to the Chargers era during that time frame, Jamal Williams on the nose for those Chargers teams. Like those kind of players, they just don't fall off the tree. Like you said, Cam Mallory is a massive human being. You're right. And I think he's a guy, hopefully, that can play right away. I mean, I wonder if – I was curious. I was going to ask you this while you were talking about him. Do you think that Rich Rod's time at Jack State probably gave him some inroads to a place like Moody?
It couldn't have hurt. It's right down the road, but he'd always recruited Alabama and Mississippi anyway. So that was just an opportunity to go somewhere he knew and know it even better. So I'm sure it helped because the new coaches by doing that instead of back in the day. Yeah,
they've got Mallory at about 6'1", 300. That's about what he looks like. But he's athletic too. That's the thing. Like he can move a little bit. I do like him. Another player from the state of Alabama that West Virginia got that I'd had you take a look at, because I mean, contrary to popular belief, Brian does not have infinite knowledge of every single player on every single team, but he does pretty good. But this is a guy I think was flying under the radar. I don't know how Miles Cottrey wasn't picked up by somebody else in closer to that area. I personally love this kid. What were your thoughts?
The only reason that he wasn't offered by more schools is just height. That's it. Like he's maybe 6 foot, but he shot out of a cannon and he's very physical. You could probably, depending on what you're going to try to do with your scheme, play him in that overhang position at least part of the time over at the slot, and he could definitely play will. Really physical guy for quote unquote an undersized linebacker, but he just, I don't know which guy I want to compare him to, but he's just a linebacker that always seems to find himself in the backfield. So he shoots gaps well. He'll run around the edge. He'll make somebody miss in space to beat a block. He does a little bit of everything. He's good in the screen game. West Virginia found a player that'll fit their scheme, and he can really run.
You think he's the guy that could play that Fred Perry spot there at the nickel, that hybrid?
Yes. I think depending on what they're trying to do with it.
Yeah.
Like, I want him playing against true slot receivers in coverage. Well, no, but at some point you're going to get beat on that. That's the hardest spot on defense. It is what it is.
It is.
But at the same time, if you put him in the game, you can blitz him. You got a better run. Like, there's give and get, because that guy's not going to block him either. You know, one of them is going to lose pretty handily on every play. But you're gonna get a guy that's going to give it his all. Like, you could tell he likes football. Like, it's not his God-given ability. He plays hard.
Yes, he does. I had his coach on the show, Granger Shook. I love that name, by the way. It sounds like some people would write for a script, like, oh, Granger Shook. Like, but I had him on, man, and he's exactly who you think he would be. He's just Alabama Southern. And he said, look, man, like he said, I've had Jeremiah Smith. I've had all these, NFL players, these elite players. Miles Cottrey's right there with any of them. And he told me this off the air. He said, I'm just telling you. And he said, just trust me. He's one of the best I've ever coached. They've had him at up to 22 miles an hour on the equipment they use. So, like, he can really run. So, I mean, if you got linebackers that are running 22 miles an hour, you're going to be in good shape. I really love the kid. I think he's going to be somebody that – and I got to give my buddy Chaz Rupert all the credit. He's a guy that's down that way. He lives down that way. He's got a boy he takes to camps. And he put me on the Cottrey, even though I knew about him. I hadn't looked at him yet, and I got to give Chaz credit for putting me on to him. So another guy that I'd ask you to take a look at, 6'1", 6'2", probably 195. He's not a big guy yet. Delray Beach / Wellington, Florida. As a junior, he had, I think, 54 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, 4 sacks. Man, he's a hard-hitting kid too. Excellent in run support, but man, does he have excellent speed as well. Cam Dwyer.
Yeah, they're similar players. He's from Palm Beach County, just north of the Fort Lauderdale area. That area's still got a lot of football. It's not quite what Broward County is with Fort Lauderdale, but there's still plenty of guys, and he runs around guys that are smaller than him. If you can run with the best of them in South Florida in any of the 3 counties, Dade, Broward, or Palm Beach, we're good. So I think this is the kind of difference maker for what they're doing. Like, is he a 5-star guy that Kirby wanted? No, but he doesn't fit Kirby's scheme. Right. For a guy that they're trying to use for a 1-gap 3-man line, like, it's an aggressive, high-risk defense. This is kind of guy that can play downhill to that. Now, one of them, Cottrey, one of them's got to be able to drop, and it's the hardest thing. Finding linebackers that can cover is yeah, good luck. But you're looking to get the speed guy and hope he understands scheme to do that. But one of them will end up at will, and one of them will play the overhang at least part-time, and then, kind of go from there. Special teams, block, stuff like that. 3rd and 8 blitzers, they'll have different roles, and linebackers have to be multi-hats in today's game if they really want to get on the field. And I think each of these young men have that opportunity.
Agreed. Now let's get to some of the meatier ones here, man. We talked about him off camera for a second. West Virginia pulling off one of the signing day surprises by flipping Amari Latimer, who was committed to Wisconsin. Then they get running backs like this, a guy that ran for 1,400 yards, had 200 yards receiving, 100 on 180 carries, 9 yards a carry. When he was in high school there at Sandy Creek. Tyrone George, he's a Georgia kid. Some of the best players in America there. One of the best running backs I've ever seen West Virginia get out of high school, ever.
Yeah, he's from just south of Atlanta. I actually drove through that area today, and I saw him play last year, and his team is loaded. They've got kids going all over the country to play, and, the Georges of the world stop in there, etc. He's a player that you don't expect to end up at West Virginia.
No.
He's the most talented kid in the class from the high school ranks, but he's a running back. You expect West Virginia to get those kids. That's why I brought up the Moody kid first, because I don't expect them to get really good D tackles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That guy's special. Latimer's going to come in and play. This is a 5-tool guy, run, catch, change direction, physical, and he's a smart kid. He's not real talkative, but he just does what he does. Kind of blue collar, but with Ferrari type traits.
Yep.
So he's an NFL player. He'll probably be 3 and out.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah, absolutely. A couple other guys to get to, obviously, and actually, you know what? I might be lying. this guy was probably the bigger signing day surprise, potentially. Matt Sieg, Fort Cherry, small school in Pennsylvania. But, man, everybody loves this kid, a 4-star player across every board that you look at, flipped him from Penn State. Man, this is a multiple kind of kid as well. Really great instincts and coverage, quick reactions. Rich Rod loves him. They said, listen, we're going to probably put a package in for him at Wildcat and let him play quarterback too. That's what he said.
Who knows? He does read the field very well. He's probably going to be your center fielder, somebody that sets your defense, makes changes and adjustments based on what the offense is or is not doing. And he's just got the ability to make the plays. He's got hands. He could probably play receiver, but as a defender, he gets to use his physicality a little more. So
yeah.
I think this is a good fit for Matt. And he had offers from numerous programs. Could have went to Penn State or Notre Dame or whatever. So good pickup for West Virginia. I doubt they have a lot of guys that are going to be able to read the board like he does and figure it out quickly as a freshman. I think he'll play in some capacity. I know you don't really like starting true freshmen in the deep secondary. That's rough, especially in that league because there's so many quarterbacks. But he'll play next year. He's not going to be a redshirt guy.
No, I agree with you. Speaking of another guy a lot of people think is going to play out of Carl Sandburg in Orland Park, Illinois, Vincent Smith, 6'2", 200-pound kid, 4-star player as well on 247 Sports, rated a top 10 player in the state of Illinois. This is another big get for West Virginia. He's got length, speed, press, really good in press coverage. I think he bolsters this pretty well. He's big, really speedy. You know, he shot up the board. This
is kind of the kid that you just don't expect West Virginia to get. I mean, he could play receiver or whatever you want him to play, safety, corner. You can never have enough of those guys. So my question to you is, where would you play him and why? And how do you think West Virginia is going to use him for their scheme? Because I could see an argument in different capacities.
Yeah. You know, I think because of they value the length so much right now, I do think they'll probably play him in the secondary, but I wouldn't be surprised. And here's the thing. So Rich Rod foreshadowed this for 6 months. They're being very intentional. And maybe Travis Hunter woke some of this up for people. I don't know. But he said multiple times now, we're going to play a lot of these guys both ways. So I don't know if that's with all these guys. He said it's just you have in this day and age, you have to get more value for each player. So both ways is what they're talking about doing here. I mean, I think it's interesting.
Well, if they can get away with it, I mean, that's a lot of playbook to learn. But if nothing else, he might be your punt return guy or something.
Yeah.
Nothing to surprise. He's got really good hands. Matt's got really, really good hands.
I agree, man. Another guy that we got like two guys left. We'll go to break really quick on that. We'll finish up with Brian here on Locked On Portal, Locked On West Virginia crossover right after the break, guys. Talking about FanDuel. Look, FanDuel is where it's at, right? NFL Sundays move fast. You got one big play. Suddenly everything does feel different. That's why it makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. Not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place live bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, and every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift, the receiver gets hot, the defense tightens up, and the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump right into that moment. With live spreads, its money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up, and you can bet that your next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. Keeps you locked into every drive, every snap, and every possibility. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your live NFL bets all season long with FanDuel. The game moves fast, and so can you. All right, guys. Segment 3 here with Brian Smith from Locked On Portal, man. Thank you so much for jumping on. Appreciate you so much, dude. You do such great work. Your TikTok game is good. You've got a lot going on, man. You put a lot of the shorts out. I think it's one of your stronger qualities as a content creator personally. I really like your shorts. You do a good job breaking guys down in quick bursts. I like that. I wish it was something I was a little better at, but I'm more long-winded if you can't tell. Oh gosh, it's good for 30-minute videos for sure, you know.
That's all right. Everybody's got their niche.
Yeah. Somebody I probably could have started with, Jaron Hughley. He's the nephew of West Virginia great. Listen, we're really excited to hopefully get Jawan Sider back here at West Virginia. We don't know if he'll leave Notre Dame. Somebody we really would like to have. Obviously, one of the elite recruiters in the game. This is his nephew, Jaron Hughley, and a guy you've mentioned to me way early on in some of our earlier conversations talking about West Virginia recruiting this year. And, man, did he have a great game in the state. Well, not a great game, but they won the state championship game the other day.
He's a kid that's probably a little bit overlooked, another Palm Beach area kid.
Yeah.
He's a guy that could play safety, could play receiver, but he's going to play QB unless something's changed. In from what I've heard, I don't know if that's accurate or not. I guess Rod's going to let him try it.
Yeah,
whoever wins the spot wins the spot. You know what I mean? Out of the young guys, that's just the way he's going to do it.
Yeah,
I love the competition theme, but the best part about this guy is he's just always been a winner, and he's so athletic. If the quarterback didn't work out, he'll figure it out, a receiver, or running back, or whatever. So it'll take care of itself.
Yep, agreed. And then I think, let me make sure I'm looking through my list here. Did we miss anybody that we said we were going to talk about? John Johnson out of Edna Carr. I don't know if you had a chance to check him out.
I watched a little bit. He's just super athletic. I don't know exactly how they'll use another kid that can play quarterback or whatever. I still think he would probably be better in the secondary or at slot, but if he wants to give quarterback a chance, go right ahead. Edna Carr, for those who don't know, is one of the better programs in the Bayou States down in New Orleans. They've got players going all over the country, LSU included. So, yeah, it'll be interesting with him because I'm guessing they're only going to use one quarterback, really, but they got like 2 or 3 guys in this class that could end up at quarterback. So, I don't know how that's going to play out, but Rich Rod does things a little differently. So
he does. And, I just think, like he says, he's got a couple different philosophies with it. He's like, we are going to get bigger and we're going to get stronger on the lines of scrimmage. Everybody says that, but they're going to be really intentional about it this cycle. And he said, and we just want really fast guys everywhere else. That's the philosophy. We can get fast guys. We'll figure it out, and that's really as simple as you can make it. So tell everybody where they can find you, Brian.
Absolutely. If you need any information about the transfer portal, what's going on with the Sharon Moore situation, oh boy. I've got a lot of stuff going on with that. Kind of concerned Bryce Underwood's going to leave.
He's coming to West Virginia.
Yeah, okay. If he does, I'll come to a game next year if he goes to West Virginia. Guarantee you. But I've got a little bit of everything breaking down recruits and everything. I'm going to do an Auburn podcast for tomorrow, like all kinds of stuff going on the Portal podcast.
Well, we thank you for being here, man. It's been a joy talking to you, and let's hope West Virginia can stack because we think that Rich Rod's and company are going to have somewhere between 20 and 25 to spend on. That's including the cap, 25 million to spend on this roster and portal. And they're only going to get about 12. He says they're only going to go after 12, 15 guys. So if that's the case, they should be players for quite a few guys. We'll see if that ends up being what happened. Now, obviously we all know the outside the cap NIL is, you just never really know what they have, but what they say, they think from what I hear anyway, I think they're going to have a pretty good year for it. So hopefully they can follow this recruiting class up with a good portal class and maybe surprise some people in year 2 of the Rich Rod era. I think they'll be a lot better next year. Me too. Yeah. I could see us pulling like a Houston, being in contention for 8-9 wins, maybe somewhere in there. I really do think we can be better next year too, Brian. I appreciate it, man. Absolutely. All right, guys, make sure you go find Brian Locked On Portal. We're always here at Locked On West Virginia. We're talking about West Virginia Mountaineers every single day. Thank you guys so much for all your support. Don't forget about the Everydayer Club. It is something that I am very interested in. Want to make sure you guys are keeping up with that. Obviously, I'm going to put that link in the chat now. That is lockedonpodcast.com/Everydayer Club. And that's something that you're going to be, especially those of you that are still watching right now. If you never miss an episode, make it official. Join the Locked On Everydayer Club and get ad-free audio, access to our members-only Discord, and more, all built for our most loyal fans. I'm putting that link in the chat right now. I'll also add it in the description box and also in the comment section after the show. make sure you're jumping in there, guys, and we will see you on the next one here. Make sure you check out Locked On Big 12. Drake told, I mean, he doesn't need my help. He's crushing it right now, but we would love to see a head over there as well next, guys. And we'll see you on the next one here on Locked On West Virginia, also Locked On Portal. See you next time. Don't forget to cue those country roads.